by Education Minister Sabine Winton. Denholm is also here. Matt's the chair of the board here, but also a parent, and he'll be talking about his experiences as a dad here at Halladon Primary School. And we're making an important announcement today, and as you know, one of the things we've really emphasised both during the election and since then is the importance of getting kids off to the best possible start in life. We want all of government to have the capacity to ensure that our young kids have reached all the developmental milestones, the education milestones, and make sure that they're living happy, healthy lives. It's one of the reasons why we're bringing in our full service schools, and we made an announcement about that last week. It's another reason why we've established the Office of Early Childhood in the Department of Premier and Cabinet, ensuring that we've got a complete wraparound whole of government approach to early child development and growing. It's also another reason why we've talked about full-time kindy. And today we're making an important announcement around making sure that every kid gets access to quality, free public school education. Today we're announcing that we're going to fast-track our commitment to Western Australian families by bringing forward the free the full-time free kindergarten pilot by a full year to begin in 2026. We'll start delivering on our commitment to invest $33.8 million to pilot free full-time kindergarten across 5 public schools in the first year, expanding to more schools in 2027. These pilot schools will offer full-time kindy 5 days a week. This is part of my government's plan to give our children the best possible start in life and their learning experiences. So the 5 schools piloting in 2026 won't surprise you to hear here at Halladon Primary School, also Roleystone Community College, Dayella Primary, South Kalgoorlie Primary and Banksia Grove Primary. These schools will provide us with the basis of learning about what we need to consider as we start to roll out free full-time kindy right across the state. How we can continue to develop the curriculum, staffing arrangements, kids' experience, how you manage the kids and how they experience full-time kindy. And so what we'll also take the opportunity to do is to listen to the community, get their feedback, families, educators, communities, making sure that we learn from this experience. But we want to get on with the job. Free full-time kindy is an important part of reform in our education system, and so that's why we've brought it forward by a full 12 months in terms of this pilot program. And having a future made in WA starts right here. Getting these kids the best possible start in life means getting them on their education journey and making sure that they can continue to take advantage of all the incredible opportunities here in Western Australia. I now hand you over to the Education Minister.
Thanks very much, Premier, and thank you everyone for coming to Halladon Primary School. It's lovely to be here to make what is a really significant announcement. I'm proud to be standing along the Premier to announce that this significant milestone in the rollout of the Cook Government's $33.8 million free full-time kindy initiative is happening earlier. We know that the first 5 years of a child's life are absolutely critical for their development. The experiences and learnings they have during this time lay the foundations for their future, helping them to grow in confidence, helping them with their creativity, curiosity and resilience. And that's why it's so crucial that families can have access to high quality early learning options for their children. As the Premier said today, we're announcing the first 5 schools that will take part in the pilot, which are, and as the Premier mentioned, right here at Halladon Primary School, Roleystone Community College, Banksia Grove Primary School, South Kalgoorlie Primary School and Dayella Primary School in Bunbury. Now, since we made this election commitment, we've had incredible interest from schools and communities telling us that they want to be part of this trial, which is why we've chosen these 5 schools to be starting the trial early to commence for Term 1 in 2026, with more schools to join the pilot in 2027. Now, as I've previously said, this is a non-compulsory provision for parents. The same way kindy is not compulsory now, the full-time provision that we'll offer is not compulsory either. And schools will work with families to support children to access this important offering. However, I'll start again. However, I expect that the full-time attendance will have strong interest from West Australian families. We know already over 90% of families, that over 90% of families access the part-time kindy provision in our schools. Planning for the 26 rollout is being coordinated by the newly established Office of Early Childhood in consultation with the Department of Education, with schools and communities. The office will also be key in giving schools the support that they need throughout this trial, and that support has started. Importantly too, a statewide expression of interest process for more public schools and community kindies to join the pilot in 2027 will open next week, along with a community feedback later in the year. Importantly, this trial forms one part, as the Premier said, this trial forms one part of our as the Premier said, this reform forms one part of our broader reform agenda and commitment to early childhood. This year's state budget included $28.9 million for measures to grow WA's early childhood workforce, the additional assistance for teachers, the development of curriculum, resources and the WA Play Strategy. The Play Strategy in particular will have an important role in highlighting the importance of play for educators, for parents and for the wider community. And we know that play is an essential part of quality early childhood education, and play will continue to be at the heart of this kindy program. As a mother of three daughters who had her children in early learning settings, I know the juggle is real, and I know that many families will welcome this opportunity to access free full-time kindy. And I'm very excited to see how this trial will progress. And as the Premier said, these 5 schools will be pivotal in supporting government as we contemplate the future rollout of full-time free kindy. And now I'll hand over to Matt, School Board Chair, to say a few words.
Thank you. Look, I'm very excited about this this trial, especially starting here at Halidon Primary School. It's a great community, and I know that there will be parents that will take this up. It'll be great for them to have more opportunities to work more if that's what they need to do as a family, but also give their children one place to be rather than across a couple maybe where they're at kindy at school and daycare. So yeah, I think this is great.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
Yeah, and do you think, did they have to go to multiple different places when they were in this age group?
They did, when they were in this age group, yeah.
And what kind of things do you think? You said then it's better to go to one place.
Yeah.
Can you just, for people who don't have kids, maybe explain kind of why that would be more beneficial?
Yeah, it gives them one setting, it gives them one structure that they need to learn, and gives them the consistency from the teachers and the staff at the school.
And do you see an extra burden on the school, by this move?
Oh, I can't really comment on that.
Just as your from your official position as the president of the PNF, are you happy that all the preparations have been done?
I think that all the preparations that have been done have gone well. Yeah.
What's the juggle like when you have a kid in pre-primary, a kid in daycare? What's the school drop-off and school pick-up like?
It can be pretty crazy because you've got to get to one place and then go to another, and depends on where they are, I guess. So, yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Other questions from
Yep.
Minister Winton?
Thank you very much, Matt.
Minister, when this was first announced during the election campaign, it was 10 schools in
Yes.
the pilot, and starting from 2027.
Yeah.
Why only 5 now?
Yeah. Look, we wanted to bring it forward as quickly as possible, given the incredible response that we've had to it. But we also want to do it in a way that we can make sure that we can support the schools and take the learnings from the trial that will now commence for the start of the school year for 2026 to build on that even further for the schools that will commence in 2027.
Can you just elaborate on the reason for bringing it forward 12 months? I mean, it's only 6 months since this was announced.
Yeah.
So, why the rush to
Yeah.
fast track it even more?
It's not a rush. It's in response to the overwhelming response that we've had to this initiative. It's welcomed by the broader community. It's a nation-leading initiative in terms of providing quality education in the kindy setting, which we know is already so highly valued by parents. And we saw the opportunity. These 5 schools are ready to go in terms of the available infrastructure. These 5 schools have got leadership teams who are ready to go. They've got great play-based learning environments already, and we've got the money in the budget. The Office of Early Childhood has been set up and are ready to go to provide that support, whether it's around $2 million for curriculum development and professional development that these teachers and schools now will participate in the next few months.
The other schools, the other 5 schools that were originally to be part of it, are they not ready to go?
No, when we announced it originally, that we would trial it in 10 schools, no schools had been identified at that point, so no one's missing out.
It's not compulsory, but is there any risk that locals in this area risk missing out on a placement for the following year if they only want to do part-time?
Yeah, it's a great question, and let's be clear, kindy is not compulsory. So even now, if a parent chooses not to attend kindy at this location right now, they have got a place for pre-primary next year, and that doesn't change under this new arrangement.
Some parents loved the idea when it was announced, some hated it. The main concerns seemed to be around toilet training,
Yep.
which, at 4 years old, some kids can be toilet trained, some just aren't ready. And the school settings usually haven't really have wanted kids toilet trained before they start kindy. How will that be navigated?
Yeah, and it's a good question because we hear often around some of the development delays that children are presenting in schools. I actually see this as a really strong opportunity to provide more support. So as part of this arrangement for full-time free kindy, the number of education assistants as part of this trial will be doubled, because we know the support for teachers in classrooms is pivotal. And like any other arrangement that exists with kindy now, it'll be parents who will decide whether their children are ready on a number of measures, whether it's toilet training or other delays in terms of when they start that kindergarten journey.
What's the total cost of the pilot, given when it was announced it was $33 million for 10 schools? Is that less now, given it's only 5?
Yeah. No, the money in the budget is $33.8 million in total overall for our election commitment around establishing the Office of Early Childhood and rolling this out to 10 pilot sites. And so the funding is there for those 10 schools.
Just back on toilet training, when you say the parents will decide, would you then expect that a parent, if the child is not toilet trained, the parent not to send their child?
Yeah. Look, that issue has been ventilated previously, and it's an issue for schools and for parents now, even under the part-time kindy arrangement, whereby some children are presenting to school with certain development delays. The department works really closely with parents to provide the support to the department already provides significant support and information for parents in the young years prior to being in kindy about the kinds of milestones and support them in terms of children reaching those milestones.
It's across 5 schools. You mentioned that there was an overwhelming response.
Yes.
How many placements are going to be at each school?
Yeah. Look, it'll vary from school to school. So in all of the 5 locations, parents would already know that the enrolment process has already taken place for kindy for next year. So the enrolments for next year will be for the places for the enrolment that's already projected in the school. So for example, here I was talking to the principal before, they have an enrolment of 18 students for next year as part of part-time kindy. So the funding will be to turn that part-time enrolment for that number of students that they've got enrolled into full-time. At Banksia Grove, for example, there's an enrolment of 40 next year, part-time. This funding and this initiative, this election commitment will see Banksia Grove being able to have the resources, whether it's teachers, whether it's ed assistants, whether it's small infrastructure upgrades, and whether it's that important work around curriculum development and supporting them to deliver a full-time free kindy program which focuses on play-based learning.
What are you looking at in this trial to see if it's either a success and will go statewide, or if it's not working?
Yeah. Look, as part of the process, the Office of Early Childhood has also got some funding to do an evaluation. But that evaluation will be done progressively, and it starts now in terms of how this is rolled out, in terms of the support that's needed and delivered to schools, in terms of making this successful. And then as the trial commences next year, I would imagine we'll be getting great qualitative data as the trial commences, particularly from kindy teachers who work with those children every day, to see the difference that it's making, particularly around those things that Matt talked about, having that stable education delivery for students rather than the juggle of multiple environments. And so we'll have great qualitative data right from the start, but we'll also be able to see how those children then go into the formal preschool arrangement and the impact it's having on them positively being able to, improve their ability to be ready for school.
And so on just to do another 5 schools then at the start of 2026
Yeah.
to make that full 10?
Yeah, so we will do at least 5 schools next year. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the formal expression of interest so we can actually get a better understanding, not only of the capacity of schools like this school to be able to get involved, and it will further inform the way we move forward towards rolling this out statewide.
Just on that statewide, sorry.
Mm.
No, just on the statewide. So when are you looking at having, what year are we talking about having it in all schools?
Yeah. I can't give you a specific date by which we may have full-time kindy throughout the state. I've previously said that's a decade-long process. When you think about it, there are nearly 25,000 students in kindy as the cohort in hundreds of schools. And so that will be a long, steady rollout, but that's why the Office of Early Childhood have got the resources now to not only assist these schools in trialling this, but that information will be pivotal in them giving government information about how we phase this in.
Minister, on another... Sorry. No, you guys still on this?
Just on the regional aspect of it, how sizable of a boost to kindy access will this be for families in Dalyellup and Kalgoorlie? Is there quite a bit of a wait list to get in?
So in terms of kindy, there are no wait lists to access kindy programs in primary school. There may be wait lists in early childhood settings. What I know is by providing full-time kindy in school settings, it actually does alleviate potentially some of the pressures of parents who are on wait lists in those long daycare settings. So that's a good thing.
On a different story, Minister, can you confirm whether a Department of Communities employee, Barry Lawrence, received a Child Protection Excellence Award in September last year and has since been charged with sexually abusing an underage boy? You were at that ceremony. Can you confirm whether that was him?
Yeah, I think that's the case.
I guess what's your reaction then that you gave? You were there at that award
Yeah,
ceremony. He's
and look, can I?
charged with this.
Yeah, and can I say, it is always absolutely concerning to me when we hear incidences of allegations of this nature. As a mother and as a teacher, it's unfathomable to me. And I want to, at the outset, also acknowledge not only the families involved in regards to these allegations, but all the staff that work in the Department of Communities who get up each and every day. They are absolutely gutted. Can I just say that at the top? This is, as you will appreciate, a police investigation, and I don't want to jeopardise that by making any further comment.
How long has he been working with children for, and is he still employed by the government?
Yeah. My understanding is that his working with Children Check was revoked, and that's not the case. But can I reassure all parents and the community, when allegations like these come to light, the agency works swiftly to remove those people.
You're pictured in this photo. Can you confirm that that is Barry Lawrence, just on my phone? Is that him?
I can't confirm that from that photo you've showed me.
Or this one?
I can't confirm that.
Can't confirm that. Why has the government removed information from the government's websites of his name? We have noticed that there's been articles being taken down online. Why is that the case?
I'm not aware that that's the case.
There's a social media post that's also been taken down that features the government minister and Mr. Lawrence. Why is that taken down?
I'm not aware of that.
Any other questions for the Premier?
Okay, thanks very much, Steve. I love it when we have these early childhood or early child education press conferences. You guys really dig deep. It's great. Any other questions?
There's been an arrest in relation to tobacco
Yeah.
like things.
Yes.
I mean, how concerning is it that this
For organised crime to be in relation to these tobacco stores coming from the East Coast to Western Australia is very concerning. So I'm delighted that the police are making progress in terms of their investigations around these incidents. It's great that they've made an arrest, and we hope that we can continue to stamp out any organised criminal behaviour around these tobacco stores.
is organised crime able to make sort of hay while the sun shines because tobacco excise is just too high?
It's well, I've seen commentary in relation to that. I'm not in a position to make that call. We know that a high tobacco excise puts upward pressure on the price of tobacco. It puts downward pressure on the incidence of people taking up smoking. But it's true to say that there is a big black market at the moment in relation to tobacco sales. A lot of chop, is in these stores, and people are taking advantage of it. But it is illegal, and we want to continue to stamp it out.
Premier, what's your reaction, I guess, on from my questions to the Minister of why content's being taken down online of Barry Lawrence on government websites?
Yeah.
Why is that the case?
Well, look, can I just reiterate the comments that that Minister Winton just made in relation to our concern, disappointment and disgust that these allegations have been made, and very disturbing allegations. Any allegation in relation to the conduct of a public sector worker in terms of their work with underage children is always concerning and is always thoroughly investigated. We get on top of these things quickly. But someone has been charged and they've now made an appearance in court, so you'll appreciate I won't make further comment in relation to that. And just going to the point that you made, in terms of the social media posts or things of that nature, I'll direct your inquiries to the department. They should be able to answer your questions.
But it would be fair to say, wouldn't it, that it would be reasonable and an embarrassment for that minister to be seen in such a photograph. It would be reasonable for them to take it down.
Well, yeah, I mean, and look,
Simple as that.
yeah, ministers give out awards all the time. We are photographed all the time in different situations with different people, and circumstances change. And obviously, we don't want to continue to repeat the impression that there's ongoing endorsement of that person if there's reason to reassess that.
Premier, are you able to confirm that?
No, I don't know him at all. Sorry, I learnt his name when you asked the question. So yeah, thanks.
Premier, just on a different topic, the police union have come out today saying that they are in the midst of a retention crisis, and it's not the numbers of enrolments into the police force that's the issue, it's retaining the staff.
Yeah.
What's your response to those comments?
Well, look, and we saw a big attrition rate in the police force in those post-COVID years, and that was a challenging period. Those attrition rates, my understanding is, have stabilised, but we continue to see a number of people coming in and out of the workforce. That's the reason why we doubled the capacity of the police academy, to make sure that we can still keep our record level of police on the beat in Western Australia today. And one of the reasons why we're now doing significant work at the academy, so that we can accommodate more regionally based recruits in the academy, so that we can get better representation of regional officers back out in the regions and throughout the community. We need to continue to make sure that we maintain policing as a rewarding and exciting career option, and that means we need to continue to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support our officers on the front line.
But they're not necessarily staying in place even with all of that in place.
Yeah, and look, traditionally, people join the police force and would stay in the police force for decades. Nowadays, younger people are looking for a greater variety in their career progression. They might move in and out of the police force. They might take up other opportunities in the economy. We have to be cognizant of that. That's the reason why we need to continue to train and recruit and attract people to the force.
A bigger academy intake just results in more junior officers. We need to retain the senior officers, don't we?
Yeah, that's true. That is part of the challenge, particularly as we see what my understanding is a current cohort of very senior police officers making their way through to retirement in the coming years. So we need to continue to make sure that we continue to attract police officers, young people to the police force. Another part of what we do, of course, is try to attract mid-career police officers from places like the UK, because they very ably and smoothly integrate themselves into our ranks and can boost the ranks of the police in WA.
Premier, drunk skippers, since November last year, only 30 tests have been done. A third of skippers that were breathalyzed were found over the legal limit. Why haven't more tests been done, and is that a bit concerning that a third were found over the legal limit?
Well, I'm very pleased as a result of the laws that we put in place to make sure that we can breathalyse skippers, that we are making arrests and finding people. And it's very disturbing when you see people actually fail those tests. It's a good way that we can prevent and warn people that if you're in charge of a boat and you're under the influence of alcohol, well then you are breaking the law and you will be caught. And I hope that is a good way that we can warn everyone. Now, ultimately, the deployment of those of police and the breathalyzing capabilities and activity is an operational matter for the police. I understand the Commissioner will be speaking to the media later today, so you can have a chat with him then.
Just on WA's winter health plan, just learned to Senate estimates yesterday, it was only provided to health providers just before winter started. Is that enough time for health providers to get across the information and be prepared for a winter that we now know experienced really high levels of flu?
Yeah, and look, as the Director General said in the media this morning, preparing for the winter is a normal part of activity-based funding, which all the health service providers are funded for each year. Obviously, we like to make sure that we can deploy extra resources where possible to ensure that we can meet the extra challenges that come with winter. And ultimately, we can get challenged each year if you've got a particular uptick in particular diseases such as influenza, and that has an impact on the system. But preparation's always been made in relation to understand the importance of being prepared for the winter.
Premier, there's a lot of focus on WA's defamation laws this week. Does the government have any appetite at all to reform WA's defamation laws and bring them more in line with the rest of the country?
No, that's not a priority for my government at the moment. I'll speak with the Attorney General to see if to get his advice in relation to these things. But at this stage, we have a very ambitious legislative agenda, and we'll continue to make sure that agenda is consistent with our election commitments.
WA's got a reputation though of being an easier jurisdiction to pursue defamation claims as a plaintiff. Is that a concern to you at any
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know, but I'll certainly ask for the opinion of the Attorney General.
Do you have concerns about the March for Australia coming up on the weekend?
Oh, well, absolutely. Anyone that seeks to demonise migration to Australia, to Western Australia, are really just driving an agenda of hate and division in Western Australia, and it's entirely regrettable and unfortunate. They have a right to protest. I respect that, and they're exercising that right to protest, and I wish them the very best in relation to peaceful protest. But can I just put on the record that migration has been an important part of the Australian story for decades, generations even, and we see now in my parliament, second generation Italian people of Italian background. We see people who have come from refugee families. We see people who have come as part of Australia's overall skilled migration program, and it's an important part of growing our society, our multicultural society, and our economy. Western Australia is a peaceful place. and people should just really focus on that, not try to seek to demonise a particular group in our community.
There are reports that one of the organisers of the Perth March has spoken about the message being to protect white heritage.
Yeah, and that's the sort of nasty hate speech that we see coming from these quarters occasionally. And quite frankly, I abhor it. I condemn it. And these people have an opportunity and a right to peacefully protest, and we expect the police to make sure that they do undertake those rights consistent with the laws.
And the prospect that right-wing neo-Nazi groups seem to be making their presence felt more and more, that they may take part in that march?
Well, we know these groups are emboldened, particularly by politicians and political commentators who from time to time seek to create comfort for them to bring these hateful and divisive attitudes into the public. We have very strong laws now which prohibit people to either display Nazi insignia or to make gestures or signals in a way which glorifies Nazi ideology. And so I'm sure the police will be watching very closely in relation to this protest to make sure that it's peaceful.
Are you concerned that some protesters who may be frustrated with your government for whatever reason they go to that protest? Are you concerned that they're being used politically as a pawn?
Oh, look, I don't know. I just urge everyone to reflect on the fact that Western Australia is a great place to live. It's a peaceful place to live. There's opportunities for work. There's incredible lifestyle. And that community is enriched by the multicultural background that we have. Everyone should embrace it and really just, I think, take the opportunity to ensure that everyone feels welcome and included in our community, and that no one should be seeking to demonise or exclude particular groups in our community because of some sort of hateful ideological position.
Any way to deal with sovereign, just very quickly, any way to deal with sovereign citizens? Any way to deal with them or not really?
Well, they break the law. They will be arrested. They will be charged. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
You're okay? You're sort of coughing and spluttering a bit.
She's always